What if there was a way where you could remember an entire chapter of a book like Python Crash Course in, say, way less than half a day? You probably don't believe me that a human can remember the techniques covered in an entire chapter of a book on Python, but in this video I'm going to show you how I do it and how easy it is. So if you just bear with me for the first section, that's going to help you in the second section. In the second section I will go to Sublime Text, and then I'll show you there how this actually works. This could be a turning point for you in your Python learning journey. No book that I've read, and I've read 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, between 4 and 8 books on Python. No book, and I've read lots of popular books on Python, and read and listened to hundreds of videos on Python, and nobody will tell you this. This is the first time that I've ever seen it, and this is probably the first time you're gonna see it too. So just bear with me in the first section, because you need this first section to know. So I'm going to talk about galaxies. Just bear with me. So, galaxy, we don't know how a galaxy looks, but we think that the best guess is that a galaxy is probably blue color, because it's a galaxy, Galaxy, they reckon that, there's different types of galaxies and different shapes and things. They're not sure, but they reckon that a galaxy could be a spiral. Like if you could zoom out and see our galaxy, they think that it will look like a spiral, And so just remember that this is a galaxy, right? Now bear with me, because I'm going to talk about Python programming soon. All right, now the next thing to remember is Washington, DC. Trust me. Washington, DC. So what we're going to draw now is like a picture. We're going to do a drawing of Washington, DC. I don't know, Washington, DC is white. So yeah, Washington, DC down here. And I don't know what Washington, DC looks like. Something like that. Something like this. That's Washington, DC there. Okay, so that's Washington, DC. So what we have here is spirals. S-P-I-R-A-L-S. We have spirals over. You will remember that means over. Over, even though I know it's an underscore, just remember over. Spirals over DC. That's DC, right? So you got a spiral. I'll just do another one here. So you have spirals, right? Galaxies. Spirals, and they're over, so they're in the sky. They're in the sky above Washington, DC. So this is the picture that I remember in order to remember every technique in an entire chapter of Python Crash Course. He doesn't talk about this in his book at all. None of the books do. But if I can remember spirals over DC and have this picture in my mind, that will initiate a memory technique in memory training. So just remember spirals over DC. Now, how the hell can you remember every technique? Well, spirals underscore D and C, they're all the techniques for writing lists. They're most of the techniques we'll ever use for the syntax for writing lists. So here we have here. So hopefully you've stuck with me. If you have, it might be a lucky day. Here we have it, right? So this is called remembering lists with spirals over DC. Now, forget about the top one, right? Just look at this one. Spirals over DC helps me remember how to work with lists. S, P, I, R, A, L, S over D, C. You ready? You ready for this? Watch this. If you remember that, the whole chapter of a book, and it's a complicated chapter because to get your head around lists and all the different methods and functions and stuff, go on forever. But this will help you remember the main methods that you need to, that you may, more than maybe the main methods that you need to know off by heart if you really get into it. So like about 6 months ago, I was just gunning this, and there's just no way that I would have been able to gun it without knowing how to do this. I learnt memory training years ago, and the books that I read, they're good, they're well written linear books, but there's no organic memory structure to them whatsoever. So one of these days someone's going to actually make a book that I might make a book one day that teaches people how to learn Python twice as fast, twice as good, and half the time. So here we go. This is here. So spirals, right, over DC, it helps me to remember how to work with lists. And here's the proof in the pudding. S is for the sort method, right? And this permanently alters a list, right? So it'll put it into alphabetical order. So if you just make a list up here, so I've just got down here dinner equals. So if I was going to dinner, it's good to do things that you remember. You can do whatever you want. You can put in like superheroes, Spider-Man, Phantom, Superman, right? I've just put in the Trump family, so Melania, anything that helps you remember it. For me, at the time, Trump's what I used, and so that helps me remember this. Print dinner. So when I print this out, right? So when I run this, you're going to have Trump, Melania, Jared, and Tiffany, but they're not in alphabetical order. Okay, so how do I make a list and put it into alphabetical order? You use the sort method, right? How do I remember how to do that? Spirals over DC. Spirals over DC, right? Print. So when I'll go, okay, so dinner, I use the sort. S stands for sort, the sort method, sort. Trump, Melania, Jaffet, Tiffany. So dinner.sort, then I go print dinner, and you can see there that it's done it. It's ordered the list in alphabetical order. All right, so what if I want to what's the pop method? What if I want to take one of these, like Melania, say I want to take Trump out of it? How do I do that? Spirals over D. What's the P mean? Pop. Oh, I could use the pop method to take it out, right? So P, right, that stands for, is for the pop method, is for the pop there method. I haven't actually done this in months, so I'm gonna have, this is the first time in months I've done this. Enables me to pop out an element, right? I'll just put it down here. I don't want to make it too small for you. I'll just make it a bit larger actually. It enables me to pop out an element and still use that element somewhere else. Pop out an element, right? and still use that element somewhere else. In other words, make a new variable. So if I go popped trump, right, equals dinner dot pop. It's a pop method. -1's the last one in the list, and just to show that works, we'll just use an F string here. We've decided to remove Mr. I don't know why. So something more polite than that. Mr. We can put in there popped Trump, right? Popped Trump. Mr. Trump cannot attend the dinner. Mr. Trump will be early to the dinner. Yeah, because my dinners are really important. So the great Trump, President Trump, former President Trump, the guest will be early to my dinner because my dinners are very important. So you print. So when you print dinner, right, you'll get Trump should be out of it. Oh, we've got an error here. Popped Trump name. Popped Trump, right? All right, so popped Trump there. All right, so you got here Mr. Trump. So Mr. Trump, I could just do title there. Okay, so So now we get down here. Mr. Trump will be early to the dinner. Okay, so that's what popping it does. It enables you to keep the element from the list. It's not called an element. Keep the I'll just say call it an element. It's the item from the list. Trump. So it enables you to assign a variable to an item from a list and to take that item out of the list. So the list now no longer includes Trump. All right. So my point is, spirals over DC. S stands for sort. P stands for pop. And so I can keep on going on here. I might do one more, and then I'll speed it up real fast. I is for the insert method, right? Insert method. So I can insert new items. I can insert new items into the list. This helps me remember a whole chapter fast. So if I go dinner.insert and I want it to be that to go on the into the third, to be the third name in my dinner list, I'll put in here Chuck Norris. Right, Chuck Norris, there he is. So now when I go print dinner, you'll have Chuck Norris is now the third one in there. So that's 1, 2, 3. There's the third one in there. And if I want to, I can just how do I sort that list? Because I've just put a new item in the list. So how do I sort it? You just use the sort method again. So it should be dinner dot sort. Right. So I haven't done this for months. I haven't done this for months, but it just shows how effective this is, because it's been 3 months before I've done this, and I can still do it this good. So this is how to do it. So basically, I'll just round off the video now. What I'm saying to you is that this works. Then you go into R. So if I want to keep on going like down here and stuff, I would then just follow. I will just follow like spirals over DC. So the next one would be S, P, I, then R. R is for the remove method. Damn it. Enabling me to remove an element from a list via its string name, right? So that's what R does, the dinner.remove, right? A is for the append method. L stands for length. If I want to know the length of something, len, dinner, right? Damn it, len, dinner. I'll zoom out in a sec so you can copy this. S stands for the sorted function call. It temporarily sorts the lists as opposed to the permanent sorting the list one. So sorted is a bit different from sort. D stands for the delete keyword. It deletes via an integer an element from the list. So that's dinner. And C stands for change. Change is an assignment statement. I can change an element in the list. So I'll zoom out now so you guys can see. Actually, I'll get rid of this here. No, I don't want that. And view, how do I get rid of, oh bugger it, I'll just put this in a new thing so you can all just see that. Now I'll zoom in on this one. All right, so guys, look, just remember, so start from here. Spiral, so what you do, you write down spirals over DC. I've just put it here, F strings. This is just for my own reference. Just remember what F strings, I know what F strings are, but I just put that up the top there. So don't ignore that. Spirals over DC helps you remember how to work with lists. All right. So just so you can see all this, I've zoomed out appropriately. S is for the sort method, and this permanently alters the list so that a list is in alphabetical order. P is for the pop method. This allows me to pop out an element and still use that element somewhere else. That element probably should be item, not the word element, but not a big deal there. For me, just remember that technically it's not an element. I don't think it's an item, but I guess programmers use words they shouldn't. Sometimes I is for the insert method. I can insert new elements into a list. R is for the remove method, and enable me to remove the element from a list via its string name, as opposed to the delete method, which deletes an element by calling its list position. A is for the append method. It adds an element to the end of the list. L stores. L stands for the length function and what the hell? And it shows the number of items in a list. S stands for the sorted function call. Temporarily sorts a list as opposed to permanently sorts a list. D stands for delete for the delete keyword. So DL is a keyword in Python. The keyword delete deletes via an integer. So 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the list order. So it deletes it via an integer, an element from the list. So if I want to delete the first, don't ignore that. You did not see that. That is not me. I did not write that. C stands for change. Change is an assignment statement. I can change an element in a list. All right, so that sums up my little video. Spirals over DC. You need to remember this. If you remember this picture in your mind, and then write that down, and that'll help you remember how to work with lists in Python. I hope this helps. Thank you. Bye.